Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all, best Tarantino film.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcast should have a theme song. Podcast should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Sorry you all missed the great travel story we just had. You're just going to have to leave it at that. You'll always wonder.
Yeah.
It's part of the mythos of...
You know what? We'll make it a bonus content.
That's right.
We'll just have to
for nobody.
For nobody.
For us. It was
for us.
Bonus content. It already was bonus content.
Yeah. It was you and I chatting and telling anecdotes with our dear friend Ben Acker.
Ben Acker.
Who's joining us today on the show.
Hello.
Hi, buddy.
Always
That's what my voice goes like.
Yeah.
Check 1, 2.
Always great to have writers on the show.
Get in the second draft.
Yeah. So we asked you here today to talk about Quentin Tarantino films.
Yeah.
He just released his 9th in he said he's done after 10. So we're going to go through those 9 movies and we're going to pick definitively once and for all time.
Until the 10th one comes out.
Until the 10th one comes out. Yeah.
Because that's going to be the best one.
For all time. Just until next year or whenever. But they're not every year.
10 years or whatever. Isn't it the sequel to Kill Bill with the daughter of the...
Is that what he's doing?
I mean, that's what he said he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold him to it.
He's not doing his Star Trek.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Wait, was he going to do a Star Trek?
He was.
As
but
number
then
10.
I was going to say, would that have been his 10th
Star Trek
movie?
10, yeah.
No, that's his number 10.
His 10 was going to be a Star Trek. Probably, I think he directs a lot of stuff as like, this isn't part of the 10.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets to keep working.
Yeah. I think that's just the ones that he's like auteur on, like writer, director.
Uh-huh.
Does he edit? And he doesn't edit his movies.
No.
Famously not.
Oh.
He refuses.
Yeah, they're all 5 hours long.
Yeah.
No. There's what's the name of his editor? I think she passed. But there was a bit where people would say hi as they were doing the clapboard or whatever. Mm-hmm. They would tell her hello. And it was like, you can see the real, it's really warm. It's sweet.
That's very sweet.
He had an editor that he worked with who is no longer with us.
Right. And we are all, you can tell Tarantino fans enough to know the name of that editor. We're not telling it. We're not telling it.
I'm a Tarantino
You know
fan
too.
enough to ask if he edits his own movies.
Look, if you're listening, you're a fan. We're not going to say the name. You already know it.
Yeah,
right. We're not pandering.
Yeah, that's not what we're about.
Yeah.
We're going deep, nitty gritty.
But no names.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep this. No names and no kissing. We refuse.
Not even titles, names-wise.
We don't know.
Speaking of no names
Yeah.
and aliases, should we start with his first movie? That would be Reservoir Dogs, yes? 1992's Reservoir Dogs.
The characters had aliases. I get what you did.
Aliases, right.
I
Why I gotta be Mr. Pink,
Good segue.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll try to find him every once in a while. Yeah, do we want to do this
Speaking of
chronologically?
segues, Reservoir Dogs was a great movie.
Remember when they rode segways
Yeah,
slowly
and Paul
down the
Blart and
aisle?
Mall Cop chased them.
Yeah.
That's not what I was doing.
All right. Let's talk about these movies.
I like Reservoir Dogs. I feel like his early stuff is
Controversial take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the most podcasty sentence and delivery you've ever done on this show.
I really like it. And thank you for listening.
I like Reservoir Dogs.
Now you know. No, I like it.
Get the Cash App.
The dialogue's really good. It's got like classic Tarantino deep dive on unimportant things.
And
dialogue.
it introduced that idea, I guess, right?
Deep dive about unimportant things, right?
Unimportant things, but also the tipping. Like,
On or on? I'm having trouble understanding you.
On a deep dive.
On unimportant things.
Okay, all
Taking
right.
an unimportant thing and
Thank you.
and analyzing it to death, but for our entertainment.
Mhm.
And the vibe,
Just
like
giving character to what used to be cliche tropes,
yeah,
right?
Mm-hmm.
yes, and it has like his hyper violence. It has all the elements of a Tarantino film, and the music is great. I feel like he has gotten a little bit more adept as a filmmaker.
Tarantino-y? All right.
Not Tarantino-y, but he's like learned to make different movies. I think
Well, it's his first movie, so it like all of these things that you say like,
But it's not-
it's
it's not
a
like it's
Tarantino thing,
Yeah.
like it didn't exist before Reservoir Dogs.
but
So
it doesn't feel like a film school project or anything.
no.
It feels like he got better at doing what he does, but that's a really good first, if you're going to make a first movie, that's better than a lot of people's like last movie in terms of knowing what your voice is, knowing what kind of movie you want to make and making it.
And he started his bullpen of actors that he has dipped into that well so many times, over the years.
Yeah. Where do you sit on Tarantino? Do you like Tarantino? Do you like part of what he does?
I liked Tarantino. Like it was Reservoir Dogs was, I was maybe a freshman in college. Yes, that's right. I was a freshman in college and I had, one of the few copy, like it hadn't hit yet. It was Pulp Fiction was coming out. People liked Natural Born Killers and, True Romance, but didn't necessarily know who Tarantino was yet. But I was like a film kid and had the copy that everybody came through my dorm room to watch. So I watched Reservoir Dogs a lot of times. And it was one of the first movies I ever got sick of. Like, or maybe not sick of, but like, I've seen this enough. Yeah. I don't need to do that anymore. But like, was excited for Pulp Fiction and loved True Romance. I think True Romance. Never mind. Cut that out. Because spoiler for the end of my opinion about where this is all going. Anyway. I just said the thing that you save. But yeah, I was excited for Pulp Fiction and liked that and was into him like as a guy. I was excited for the first Kill Bill. Was there one between?
I think he
Pulp
went
Fiction and Kill Bill?
Jackie Brown.
Oh yeah, Jackie Brown I was all right with. That was a time when people were making meandering movies. There was your Big Lebowski was around that time where it was like the interesting people were doing like slow talky things that I appreciate later. Not to take you through one by one my things. Generally I liked him and feel like I grew and he didn't in a way. Like he's still making a kind of movie. And like I'm looking for other things. Like Hateful Eight took me out. I like Django. Yeah. Hateful Eight took me so far out of him that, I didn't think I was ever going to watch another of his. Like, I get it. Do your thing. People like it. That's fine. But I ended up seeing for this podcast Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
There you go. Yeah. It's interesting. He is like, that's a good question. Is he, there are some filmmakers that you either grow beyond them, their work, or you're like meandering in your interest. Like he is definitely a sort of specific genre, even if he's gone from
unto himself.
Yeah, unto himself. And it borrows heavily if you like spaghetti westerns or if you like the grindhouse movies of the 60s
Kung
and
fu
70s.
movies and
Kung
like
fu
all
movies.
of his,
You're probably going to like what he does, and maybe your interest in those waxes and wanes over time. And there are some filmmakers who sort of work beyond what they initially do. All Spielberg movies are Spielberg movies, but there's a world of difference between E.T. and Schindler's List.
Is there?
Yeah, one's black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They both take place on Earth, though.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah. Cut that out.
Did you mean edit that, or were you just telling us in the moment? Like, hey,
he's live editing our podcast. Should we be saying hello to you before we start recording?
And edit point.
It's interesting though. Do you think all filmmakers should evolve as filmmakers and change what they're doing? Cause like there's some filmmakers that are just like a Chris Columbus movie. Like I loved Chris Columbus movies growing up. And then you kind of like, you want to see something that's different or darker or more,
speak to who
I am in a moment.
Right.
Is a director's job to continue to change what they do, or like, you know what? I'm going to make Chris Columbus movies, and then a new generation of fans is going to.
And that depends on your aesthetic and what you want to be as an artist.
Do you think that there's what do you think Tarantino falls on that spectrum?
I think he's found his spot where he makes the Tarantino movies that are the Tarantino movies. And it's, Dave Eggers. Do you know Dave Eggers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the funniest writers. Like when he writes funny things, he's the winner of it. But he, I think, reads more serious things and has tried to become a more serious. And I miss the funny Eggers, you know, but that's, you can't, on the one hand, you can't wish an artist was doing the thing that you wanted them to do.
Right.
And on the other hand, do some funny things. Dave Eggers.
Yeah.
Come on.
Did he pass off the funny? Cause he created McSweeney's, didn't he? And
yeah, but also Mite Magazine.
Oh, I don't know that.
Do you remember
magazine.
Might magazine? He, in his heartbreaking work of Staggering Genius, he talks about doing this magazine, but that was in high school. We would read the hell out of this thing. It was just a ridiculous, silly, like cerebral National Lampoon kind of a thing, which I guess National Lampoon probably kind of was, but it was full of just fun running bits. There was a cheese list of just stuff that was cheesy, which meant something back then.
You're right.
And also giant articles. The last issue of McSweeney's had like, the cover story was, "Are black people cooler than white people?" And it was somebody's like a graduate thesis that they printed. Of course was the answer, like sentence 1, but let's look into why. And it was like thoughtful, compelling, irreverent stuff. And then, and his like copyright information, or like the generic stuff of it, he would riff, and it was hilarious. Yeah. They would do things like, not to get off on a tangent. Like
that's all we do on this show.
Never heard it. To make money, they had an 800 number you could dial, and you could just ask. This is before the internet was generally available. You could ask the interns anything, and they had to find the answer.
Ooh, did you ever use it?
My friend Charlotte called them a lot of times. It was just like, "What's the history of Poland?"
Not like a yes or no or a single answer
like,
question.
Tell me everything you know about like the American flag, or should I ask that guy out? Like she abused the privilege. I think she became friends with the intern.
I'm glad it's an 800 number too. So because back then,
because they were using it to make money.
Yeah.
So 900 number.
Oh, it was a 900 number.
Whatever it was, where you put your credit card.
Yes, it was a 900. Yeah.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I just remember 10-10-3-2-1 when you wanted to make a collect call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
the only one I know is, wait, what is it? Oh, I don't know it anymore. Never mind. You saw that happen. No. I had one in my fingertips for years. The number for unemployment.
We just watched something leave your brain.
The number for unemployment in LA. I called it so often in my 20s. That I've had it.
Knew it.
And then now, oh my God, I've worked pretty steady.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You no longer remember.
1-800-300-5616.
What was it?
Oh no.
That can't be. It's not an 800 number, right?
Probably.
We should call it and find out.
You reeled it off so quickly.
1-800. Good. I don't have it.
You forgot it. It's gone.
Congratulations on your success.
Yes, we were here for the glow up. That's all. That's what's important. Forget that number. You're never calling them again.
All right, and that's our episode.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Reservoir Dogs.
I liked it.
What'd you say?
I liked it.
I liked it. Yeah,
it's good.
It's good. It set the tone for what his movies were going to be. The next movie that we're just doing the big ones, the big 9. Right?
Yes.
This is what we've determined.
Well, there's one I think that may not be in the big 9 that I'd like to throw in, but we'll wait till we get there.
Okay.
Since we're going chronologically.
And the next one was arguably a masterpiece, or the masterpiece.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
I think Pulp Fiction is one of the best movies of the last half century.
Best? How do you mean? What describe?
For me personally, I saw it in the theater, I think 5 times.
Wow.
Like I just loved it. I thought it was cool storytelling. I liked the way that time was messed with throughout. I thought that the characters are all, you mentioned like talkie pieces with interesting characters. That's what that was, but also full of action and compelling enough that it was, I thought, a really fun way of telling a story in the bouncing around the way that he did. Yeah, the soundtrack is amazing. It's just a cool movie. I do think that, boy, dropping a lot of N-bombs, especially coming out
like he did in Reservoir Dogs.
Like he did in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
And another thing, that's the thing against Reservoir Dogs as well, is like, through a 2020 lens, a bunch of white people dropping N-bombs is jarring.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, do you disqualify all of that work in 2020 when it came out in 1992 and 1995?
Right.
Like, you have to take it in context to a certain degree. I remember seeing Pulp Fiction in the theater. The non-linear storytelling was great. I practically wore out the soundtrack CD like everybody did.
Yeah.
Like listening to the music.
Had the poster on my dorm and wall in college, the one that looked like the novel cover.
It brought John Travolta back. It was a huge renaissance for him. It helped.
It brought a lot of people back.
It took Samuel L. Jackson from like a character actor to a leading man. It did a lot of.
Bruce Willis
was in it.
Yeah. Bruce Willis is also there.
He was great.
I love Bruce Willis.
I'm not knocking Bruce Willis.
But he was not in a slump, but he wasn't that was one of his mega things, right?
Sure. It was part of a great run it started with Die Hard and then the other Die Hards.
And then
save it for the best Bruce Willis movie episode, you guys.
Yeah,
I guess I forgot about John McClane. So he never really had from Moonlighting on, he never really had a lull.
It was
Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk is amazing. Hudson Hawk is an awesome movie.
Yeah, but it was a lull.
Yeah, I guess.
It was a gut punch to the Bruce Willis train.
Yeah.
To mix a metaphor.
But they timed the heist to swing on the star.
God,
no, I remember it. I brought it up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Remember they robbed art? No, they do? They rob paintings?
No, Art Carney from,
they rob Art Carney.
From The Honeymooners.
It's got elements of your show. There's Vatican intrigue, right?
And they actually shot in there's a scene in Hudson Hawk where they are in the Vatican, and that room also is my office on Blood and Treasure.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty awesome.
And you got a tattoo of it, right?
I got a tattoo of the whole room. Also, the same Vatican office from The Godfather Part 3. The worst of the Godfather movies.
Oh, save it for the episode. We're going to do worst Godfather movie episode. We're going to take you through.
Yeah, it's going to be a mini-sode.
Does it hold up? I think if you take the first half of his work, you divide it into half, so you kind of would have to take Pulp Fiction. Maybe it's
How would that be the first half if it's the second movie that he made?
Well, if you go
No, he's talking about Bruce Willis movies.
Yeah.
We're talking about Bruce Willis movies.
It's not the second movie Bruce Willis made.
Yeah. And then Live Free or Die Hard.
Yeah, it does feel like Pulp Fiction did that. It just took everybody's, I don't know if it revived everyone's career, but it made so many people cool. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a gigantic hit. He won the Oscar for best original screenplay along with, was it Lawrence Bender? Is that who he wrote that with?
Was this 94?
Yeah, it was 94.
So it lost Best Picture to Forrest Gump.
Yeah. There is let me plug another podcast.
Yeah.
There's a podcast called Best Pick. That is, they go year by year talking about the winner of the Best Picture Oscar. But they also talk about the context of movies that year, as well as the Oscar ceremony that year. And they don't go in order. They pick at the end of the episode out of a hat what year the next episode will be.
Cool.
And it is an English podcast, and it is very ordered. It's very orderly. Here's this section where we talk about these things, and these three friends, longtime friends, go through and talk about the movies that year. And it's a great way to hear about a year in pictures and who was born that year, who died that year, all sorts of things. But and Ben Blacker pointed this podcast out to me, and we were walking into a meeting, and he was effusive about for the episode that he had listened to that was the entry point was 1994, where they talk about just it was one of these amazing
it's like 1938
years
where it was just a crazy great
and then
movie.
For Forrest Gump to win was just nonsense and amazing.
I liked Forrest Gump.
Well, you were wrong.
All right. I was in 10th grade or 9th grade.
Yeah, but you still had taste.
I did have taste. I didn't think it was a bad movie.
No, it was.
But
yes,
stop.
you did.
You stop.
I will.
For years now, you and I have always been, you hate every movie and I love every movie. And still one of my favorite moments in a movie theater ever was we went to see the terrible Man of Steel movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And when Superman punches into the ground and then lifts off, Ben is sitting next to me and just slowly holds up his hand for a high five. And I was like, you are doing this ironically. I'm going to give you this high five in earnest.
Nope.
Because this is an awesome, I don't care if this movie's not great. I don't care if somehow there's still people downtown at a museum when the city for the last hour has been exploding around them.
Cover his eyes with your hand. You don't have to kill him. Your hand is invincible. There's only one thing you can do.
Snap his neck.
No, that's the last thing on my mind. I'm Superman. Cover his eyes with your hand. You've been on Earth longer. You got more sun in you. You're stronger than him.
Did you drop the mic?
I just took a break from hating Man of Steel again for the very first time.
I'm glad I could bring that up.
Oh, yeah. Let's get back
to Pulp Fiction. Let's get back to a great movie.
Asterisk.
Is it
Problematic, you know,
Yeah. I mean, but that's all of his early stuff. Do you think that was,
and current stuff.
well, at least he doesn't drop, does he drop that in, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
No, he just kicks Bruce Lee's ass.
Yeah.
Like he dreamed he would when he was a child. Right.
I mean, I guess that's a sign of maturation, like that he stopped having white dudes drop N-bombs
For one movie.
Is it just the one movie? That's like,
Do you think that The Hateful Eight was real?
Woke.
I didn't see The Hateful Eight. There are 2 movies on this list I did not see, Jackie Brown and The Hateful Eight.
You're fine on one of them. You do not need to see The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, I hear it's just
In
garbage.
fact, that is all we have to discuss of it. If there's anything you want to say about it, like the fact that he shot it in some crazy aspect ratio that
For a
is made
one-act
for
play.
outdoors, and then put them in one room and made a bottle episode of a movie where you don't care about anyone.
It's
or
all
anything.
in one location, huh?
Yeah. It's in some cabin. And then whenever they do the big reveal of what the hell is going on, I was like, I wasn't tracking this and I do not care. And
Oh, look, we're being nonlinear like Tarantino.
Yeah.
Thematic.
Look at this.
and I somehow I like Kurt Russell less for this movie, and I love Kurt Russell very much.
What's your favorite Kurt Russell movie? Save it for another episode.
We'll say it on the same time.
Another-
1, 2, 3.
Big
Captain
Trouble,
Ron.
Little China.
I think that's the correct
Sorry,
one.
Sky High. That's the best one.
I think it's Big Trouble, but The Thing is
The
the
Thing
best
is
one.
also great.
Yeah.
I love The Thing. And Escape from New York is also great. And you know what? Overboard is great.
Overboard.
Yes, it is.
But not the Kurt Russell one.
Sorry, the Anna Faris one.
Overboard, the,
There's a Kurt Russell one?
the kidnapping movie.
You were just saying things that you liked.
Oh.
And coincidentally, yeah, there was a Kurt Russell
Oh
one.
my God. Please.
Computer
I
wore
can't-
tennis shoes.
I don't even remember the unemployment number anymore.
1-800-300-5616.
There you go.
It's back.
Wow. Oh no, I'm so sorry you lost whatever job you had.
Probably.
This is our discussion part of Hateful Eight it's no good. What was the aspect ratio that he did it in? Like it was
500
wider
to 4.
It was wider or it was narrower?
Wider.
Yeah.
It was like some really big, he shot it in a way that a Western would be shot to show you like the mesa or these big sweeping
Right.
plains.
That means the table.
You get to see that briefly.
Did you say mesa means table?
Yeah, it does. And then immediately they go indoors and there's no point in
That's
that
annoying.
at all.
But you can see all the way from that chair to this chair.
The whole room is in complete focus.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, that's nice.
It's so nice.
Yeah, I can take a panorama with my iPhone as well if I'm inside a room.
Yeah.
I'm Quentin
Way to go, Tarantino.
Shot on iPhone 11.
iPhone
If that
Orama.
scrolled up at the bottom of one of his movies, shot on an iPhone 11.
Yeah. Jackie Brown I like. Jackie Brown's another
Is
one.
Jackie Brown the next one after Pulp Fiction?
Yes.
And also the only other one that I have not seen. So enjoy, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Please discuss.
I like that it was kind of his love letter to Pam Grier and Blaxploitation.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was great in it. Like it's again, like pulls together a great cast and it's all very good. But at the end of it, as a total movie, I just like, have
Have you seen it lately?
No.
It's better now.
Really?
Yeah. It's I don't know. I think that as TV has become more cinematic, there's more of a context for this kind of meander and an occasional crime. Like, I don't know. And also I watched it and I didn't have much of a connection to the blaxploitation genre.
Yeah.
You know, like there's stuff going on in it that was like, yeah, I guess the thing that stands out for me in it, which is, you know, just a completely subjective movie viewing experience, is I watched it with my housemates in college, and among them, Jeff and Caroline, who had the relationship that Robert De Niro and Bridget Fonda had in the movie. Like she would taunt him and make fun of him, you know, out of affection, and he was gruff and at the peak of them doing that in the movie, it was a moment that passed between us in the audience going, that's you guys. And then being like, that is totally us guys. And we were all enjoying it. And then De Niro kills her.
Yeah.
And there was just a moment for us to absorb that and go, it's not, there are differences too. And they were really nice to each other the whole rest of the day.
I want to go back to something
Conventionally nice.
Sure.
Can you dive more into the idea of why cinematic television makes the meandering of this movie more palatable?
I think we're more used to kind of the pace of the storytelling of it.
Okay.
You know, like it was, I think it opens with a long shot of Pam Grier on a moving sidewalk in an airport for like the length of a song with nothing happening. And in the mid to late 90s, that wasn't the way that things looked or felt.
Mm-hmm.
And so like already the movie is saying this is the tone of it.
Right.
And if you're someone who is watching all the rest of the stuff, if you're watching the Matthew Broderick Godzilla or Starship Troopers or something, going into this and going like, well, speed it up, movie. I get it. She's going through an airport.
Oh, this is so much worse than the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Right? I get to be engaged with this movie going, is Godzilla this tall? Is he that tall? Thanks, interactive experience.
Why does he look like a velociraptor now?
Oh, look, he had babies. They're velociraptors. They
Did
match.
they just step on Hank Azaria?
No, he's between the toes.
Oh, good.
Look, those guys are on my movie cup.
I had a stack of Godzilla cups.
Did you have the straw? The
in my apartment.
twirly?
No, I didn't have the Godzilla head. I did have a rubber Godzilla puppet where you click the thing inside his head and he did the roar.
Do the roar, Hal.
Roar!
Thank you, Hal.
Thanks, everybody.
Hire him for your Godzilla parties.
Yeah, that's it.
Just your Matthew Broderick Godzilla parties.
Yeah.
None of your King of the Monsters parties, unless, Hal, do you have a King of the Monsters Godzilla? Not very
was
good.
he sad in
I'm
that
working
movie?
on it. I'm not ready yet.
King of the Monsters is great.
It's not
I
out
love
yet.
that movie.
It's not out yet. Is it out?
No, not King of the Monsters. What was it? Yeah, King of the Monsters was the, what was the new one?
Maybe
that
it is
came
out. And Kong versus Godzilla is not out.
Yeah,
That's not
King
out.
of the Monsters is out. Kong versus Godzilla is not out.
Well, maybe get Hal for your Kong versus Godzilla when he's worked that out.
Coming soon. Coming summer 2021.
Keep at him, people. Text him.
Anyway, until that movie comes out, we're
His
going to
number is 800
315
5616. Unemployment and Hal.
Oh my God.
Neither of them are doing very well.
Yeah.
So they're sharing a number. And who's unemployment going to call when they're doing poorly?
I'm sleeping under all their desks, one at a time.
Unemployment hitting up Craigslist for gigs. TaskRabbit really hurt us. Tarantino.
So Pam Grier is on a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And
And
then
they're just
Conveyor belt being
Yeah.
built
yeah, she's being
at the person factory.
with by like Mickey Mouse gloves on spring arms.
Yeah,
that's how
right.
things are made in factories, right?
I mean, it's again, that's an example of him throwing it back. I think isn't the opening of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner the main song that is in that movie, which I cannot remember. It's not Que Sera Sera. Whatever
no,
it
that's
is.
from The Man Who Knew Too Much.
That is from The Man Who Knew Too Much.
So don't write in.
It's Captain
telling
Ross
Hal
and
what
Sidney
movie.
Poitier like
Que Sera Sera.
they arrive at the airport and they get their bags and they get in a car and then they ride to like the home. It's a very long sequence set to the song because they needed all the credits. 'Cause They put all the credits up front.
I gotta say, I love a movie that has just like one big long establishing the where opening like that, especially historically, because I think it's a lot of fun to look at movies through the years because those scenes are always just a slice of life. So you get to see what like I mean, I guess Jackie Brown was it a period piece or was it set
No,
in
set,
the moment that
it was set modern day.
in the 90s? Okay. Like, so, you know, in 50 years, someone's gonna be like, oh, that's what an airport in the 90s looked like. Or like when I watch Miracle on 34th Street now or Breakfast at Tiffany's, the whole opening is like, hey, this is what Midtown New York looked like in either the, 1950s or the 1960s. Like, I just love that. Like, that sort of establishing stuff to me is great.
The opening of the Odd Couple film.
Yeah. Like, I love that stuff.
That's what Odd Couples looked like in the 60s.
Yeah, we finally know.
That's what a sloppy guy and a neat guy looked like back in Neil Simon days.
I don't know why I just like the adjective to describe an entire person, sloppy. It's just a funny
That
word.
spilled over milkshake of a dude.
Oh God. All right. More on Jackie Brown. I, again, did not see it. So
It's better now.
I will check it out again. I wouldn't put it up as the best though.
No, me either.
Let's move.
Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, we're going to pick the best
we're
one.
choosing what is, we're not choosing. We are letting reveal what is the greatest, undeniable, objectively, the best Quentin Tarantino movie.
Tarantino movie.
Yeah, he steps away from movies for a while. I think he did ER during this time, but 6 years later he comes out.
He did an episode of CSI.
He did an episode of CSI. That's right.
Nick was buried. And time was running out.
No spoilers.
Sorry, CSI heads who haven't seen that episode. Saving it.
Next movie was 2003's Kill Bill Part 1, followed by, I think a year later, by Kill Bill Part 2.
Mm-hmm. I like Part 1 better than Part 2.
I like Part 1 better than Part 1 too as well.
Do you like Part 1 better than Part 1 and 2 as well?
I also like it better, Ben.
Just say it again because you said it sloppy. Like a
I
milkshake.
also like
You're like a spilled over milkshake.
Ben, I also enjoyed Part 1 better than Part 2.
That was an edit point.
Wow, was Oscar Madison in the room all of a sudden?
Yes.
Well, that's a sloppy guy.
I put a coaster under my
Felix.
words.
Oh, Felix Unger is the.
Yeah.
He's the neat guy.
What?
He's the neat guy.
He leaves little notes that say F you.
Oh, that's
It took him half a day to figure out that FU stood for Felix Unger.
See?
No, all right.
Classic.
That's what I think of your spaghetti. It's not the line. But
now it's
let's talk about
now it's garbage.
Yeah.
So do you want to look at Kill Bill as, I mean, I guess we have to look at it as two separate movies.
Yes.
Part 1 feels more to me like this feels less like Tarantino being, this is what a Tarantino movie is, and more, this is what I, Tarantino, love.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it feels like it's such an homage movie. It's almost, he decided to make a genre picture.
Yeah.
In a very different stylized
kung
thing.
fu movie. Yeah. He loves kung fu movies. Mm-hmm. He loves exploitation films. This is his kung fu movie. It features a strong female character and plenty of bare women's feet.
Yeah.
And this is the one where
loves.
he hurt, like she got really hurt.
Yeah,
right?
he made it,
or was it the second?
Apparently like coerced her into a car, one of these two films.
Which they shot at once, I'm sure.
Yes.
This is why, see, I'm getting blurry about which one.
The one with the action in it is Part 1.
Is Part 1.
Yeah.
And then the one that was a lot of
the one where she just talks
non-action.
to a Carradine for an hour is Part 2.
And she gets buried alive like Nick in that CSI episode.
Yeah, that's the end of the first one is her buried alive, isn't it?
All right.
With the
she
punching,
punches.
She
punches
the
her way out.
one-
She learned how to punch a coffin.
Which is, I mean, that's a
Useful
brutal
if you're attacked
scene.
by coffins.
Yeah.
It's good training.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, when Night of the Coffins happens.
Yeah, when hell's full of coffins. Coffins walk the earth.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought they were both great. I liked looking at them. I like to think of them as one thing in my brain, I guess. But which one has that huge kung fu fight?
2.
With the, that's
Oh, is that one?
That's in
that
one.
is one.
There's hardly any fighting in 2.
That's right. One ends with her.
She fights in a trailer and pulls out Daryl Hannah's eye in 2.
That's right.
And she kills Mr. Blonde
Michael
with the
Madsen.
snake.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
And then
And she does
talks
the
to
5,
Bill.
the 5.
Yeah, she
finger.
dials the phone of the heart.
Yeah.
And then she slices open, what's her name's head in the snow fight.
No, that's the end of 1.
That's the end of 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Lucy
see,
Liu.
this is, I get so confused because it's, again,
I think that's how 1 ends. Is she buried in 1 or 2? Colin.
Oh, maybe she is buried in 1 and escapes.
I think that she's
there, by the way, there are listeners right now who have seen this more recently than we have, pulling their hair out, going,
well, send us in your hair.
Yeah.
And best hair wins a prize. Mm-hmm. And we'll announce your name and your Twitter handle on a future episode.
Hashtag hairpull 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Send that in.
And we look forward to your entries.
Yeah.
please don't send us envelopes of
Thank
your
you
hair.
always for your feedback. At Mark Gags on Twitter.
No, do not
Send your hair.
do not DM me your hair.
Yeah. Slide into his DM with a bag of hair.
Yeah, we don't need the actual hair. Just take a picture of the envelope full of hair.
Mm-hmm. We believe you.
But address it to Mark.
All right.
If we
well,
see
then,
the same
look,
bag twice,
if
the first one is correct.
if the sword fight in the snow and the giant kung fu scene, if you're gonna make
all
kung
the
fu,
flashbacks were in the second one, right? to the
like
sword maker.
let you know.
Or no, not the sword maker was the first one.
That was
and
the first one.
Teaching the martial arts was the second one.
Yeah.
And that's where she was buried.
I think the second one was a lot more about her child, who it turns out is alive.
Yeah, but it was, yeah.
I think that's
But it was
more
about
of a focus of the second. The fact that we can't remember having seen all these films, which is in which,
is just about how we've done other things too.
means we have terrible memories.
And also it means
movies.
Quentin Tarantino bounces around in time so much, like doing a part 1 and part 2 of an already non-linear storytelling style, it gets confusing. But I like,
for those of us who haven't seen it in a decade,
Yeah.
but decided to talk about it to you on the
Exactly.
podcast.
She does escape from the coffin in the first film. I'm 98%.
All right.
look, the point
Colin.
is, the first one I think is the superior one, because if you're going to make your kung fu movie,
Put
the
kung
one with,
fu in.
put some kung fu in it.
Yes.
And that's the one with the amazing giant kung fu fight and the elegant, groovy sword battle in the snow at the end.
And the cool Bruce Lee costume and the
Yeah.
cartoon sequence and
Yeah, that cartoon sequence is great. Like Kill Bill Volume 1 is the vastly superior.
if this were an episode of your podcast about whether Kill Bill or Kill Bill Volume 2 were a better Kill Bill film,
Yeah.
I think we'd all end on Kill Bill Volume 1.
Great. So that's 2 of the 10 that we just knocked out right there. Look
That's
at that.
it. Done.
Is Inglourious Bastards next?
No. Next is one that probably would not normally be counted, but I want to talk about Death Proof.
Okay.
Because I love Death. I like
Death Proof is fun.
Grindhouse total. Planet Terror is fine. The interstitials
Are great. I love
which
those.
did not come out on the DVD.
They didn't?
No,
Like the
not
Eli
the initial
Roth and
DVD
the-
release didn't have it. Like Grindhouse is a complete. I believe it is a complete viewing experience,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of makes it not a Tarantino film, although he directs his own.
So you're not doing 4 rooms in this?
No 4 rooms.
But you are doing Grindhouse.
Yes, because that's half the movie as opposed to a
Interesting.
quarter of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, because Death Proof has been released on its own as well.
Oh, it has?
Yes.
Because how long is Death Proof?
It's
It's feature
2 minutes long.
Is it feature length? Is it like an hour?
I think
15
it's.
hour?
I think
Oh,
it's
no,
like
it's long.
Yeah, it's got to be a little over an hour, maybe 70 minutes.
Oh, just his.
Just his
yeah,
segment,
I'm not talking about Grindhouse total.
I think.
But I like Death Proof a lot. The plot is
Great,
nothing.
intricate. I'll tell you what I remember about it is that there was a great version of Stagger Lee that they play in the thing.
Yeah, I mean, look,
That's all.
it's super stylish. But like the whole ending of the movie, it's just the whole plot of that movie is just Kurt Russell is a bad dude, stuntman Mike, who does a bad thing at the beginning of the movie, and then at the end of the movie, he is thwarted in doing it and gets his ass whooped.
Well, he's a serial killer who is a stuntman, and
Yeah.
he kills people by getting into car accidents, which kill them, but he survives.
Because of his Death Proof car.
Then he encounters three women who are also stunt women, and they kick his ass.
And that scene is amazing. The daytime, so there's the nighttime murder and the daytime attempted murder.
So as you describe it, I think this is the thing for me about Tarantino and a handful of other filmmakers is that I would love to see a TV show that they do, like an anthology or whatever style TV show. Like this, what you described is great.
Yeah.
Like 42 minutes, right? Like there's not intricate character work. And the fact that like cinema still has the inherent value, like because it's bajillions of dollars invested in this thing, the decisions have to be so measured as to be less disposable and less like from your gut, you know, like if I were to watch that episode with of a television show with the demands of we got to do this and it's going to be great and we're going to move on.
We have $100,000. We've got this strip of desert.
Well, no, I wouldn't watch that. I would watch like a premium television show. Not one of those. No offense.
Hey.
Cut that part out. Cut the part out
Again,
where
I
was
can't tell
mean to
if you're
Mark.
just saying, hey, cut it out.
1-800.
Anyway, the point is that like, because it's so precious and because it's like, oh, I need to do this in an immersive medium as opposed to like, it goes from that was really fun to like, but let's think about it and talk about it 10 years later. And I don't think it holds up to the scrutiny of cinema.
Right.
And if it was just a thing that was like, we made this awesome thing, here you go. You know? And then maybe that's me.
No, I completely agree. I always think about that with like specifically with like a Pixar movie. Because like, you know that every moment of that has been so meticulously thought out because it takes 2 weeks to render someone giving one look. So you want that look to be exactly right. And it feels like that sort of thing. Like Death Proof does feel like it was like, hey, we're just making this.
We're making a Grindhouse movie, but it's going to cost this and be projected there. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess the aesthetic of it was trying to be counter to that.
Right.
But how successful can it be when it's the biggest director in the world, you know, doing whatever he wants? Like, there's no actual, that's what it is. There's no actual constraints. So this is the limit of my imagination, and it's this.
Oh, interesting.
That's interesting.
Arguably interesting.
If it were, if it were a TV episode in an anthology, I do think, because the way you're speaking
the strengths of the TV episode is like you don't expect character depth, right? Like you can live as Stuntman Mike. You don't need to know more, right? And I mean, like, and aesthetically, it's Grindhouse, so that's theoretically fine.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
but it's
thin.
not.
Like it out of the two, to me, his felt more. The Rodriguez half felt like a Rodriguez movie that he then like sort of retconned into.
But he's kind of coming from Grindhouse for
You're
real.
Right. He already is a Grindhouse.
El Mariachi cost $7,000 to make.
His to me felt more like, and this is like putting in the weird like jumps in the film and like cigarette burns and stuff like that. Felt like he was putting it on. Whereas Tarantino was like, if I were going to make a Grindhouse movie, this is what it would be. Right down to it's very clear that in my mind, the person who made this didn't have a full ending. So just in the middle of them beating the crap out of him, I'm going to freeze it. And then that's the end title, which I thought was like, that's the thing that stands out to me the most from that is the ending. Cause it's so quick. And then you go, yes, of course. This is exactly, you're giving me your version of that experience. Now, that's not for everybody.
Right. If I was 14.
Yeah.
You know,
you would love it.
I would love it.
Right.
It would be up there with Evil Dead. You know, it's that kind of like, I don't know what the world is. This is new and great. And I don't know. It's that. And that's why I say like all of this is through the lens of my tastes are different. I'm less interested. I don't know if I sat through all of Death Proof, you know?
Right. But there are things you saw at a younger age or a different era of your taste. Are there things, maybe better just to ask as a question, are there things you saw when your taste was different that have stayed with you that you still enjoy even though you've evolved as a person?
Sure. But they got in there. Like this definitely wasn't one, but like, you know, I'll always have time for the original Ghostbusters.
Right.
And I couldn't tell you if it was good or bad.
Right.
Like it was good. Right.
Yeah.
But it's just an extension of your life at this point.
Yeah. 100%. This is not, I don't carry this movie as closely for me, but it hit me strongly enough when I saw it that I felt like every choice I wanted him to make watching it, it felt like he made. So for me going through the maze or the path of that movie, I really enjoyed every step of it. So it stays with me as something I really enjoy. I don't think it's his best movie, but I do think it's really good. I just wanted to sort of talk about it and kind of talk it out with you guys.
Well, and where it falls in the timeline makes sense of Tarantino movies because it feels like, tell me if you guys would agree with this. It seems like if I'm stepping way back and objectively trying to look at just the arc of Tarantino's movies, it seems like it began with establishing what Tarantino's style was with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, then his version of certain genre movies, be it blaxploitation genre, kung fu genre, and
I think Pulp Fiction is like the pinnacle of that genre thing,
right?
Or the pinnacle of his whatever you said,
his creating his Tarantino style, and then it becomes always with the elements of who he is. Then his revisionist history phase, which. And then when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood comes out, it feels like that is going back to the beginning of this is Tarantino style, also with a little bit of that revisionist history element.
Well, before we jump into it, we have 3 more movies of his to go through.
But
Mark.
I'm just saying, does that, I'm not trying to jump into
Mark, I think you're 100%
Does that feel
Hal and I are really mad at you.
Why are you guys mad? Well, stop yelling.
You know what you
go to commercial.
Fine. We'll take a break.
You guys like butts? It's a commercial for butts. Send an envelope full of hair to @MarkGags.
Please don't.
On Twitter.
And then PayPal him $99. Look around you. You've got a butt.
Literally look around you, and you will see.
No, I get my joke.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Wait, that was us being right back.
Oh,
Wait,
we're back.
what?
We're back.
Cut that out.
Edit.
Again, I don't know what you mean. I don't know whether you
You
mean.
do know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Stop being obtuse.
I'm not being obtuse.
Quit it.
Mark!
Mark,
Guys, what's happening?
you're disappointing Ben.
We'll be right back.
You guys are real butts.
So Tarantino.
Send in $99.99 for real butts from us guys.
We'll be right back.
Hey, J. Keith.
Hey, Helen. I hear you have a true-false quiz you want me to finish.
I do. Here we begin. We host a trivia game show podcast on the Max Fun Network called Go Fact Yourself.
True.
Correct. The show is all about celebrity guests answering trivia questions about things J. Keith enjoys.
False. We sometimes don't talk about baseball or cats.
Thank God. It's questions about things they enjoy. Next, we bring on surprise experts every episode.
True.
Correct. Final question. It's just the two of us sitting alone with these guests.
False.
Correct. We have a live audience at the Angel City Brewery. See? You can hear Go Fact Yourself every first and third Friday of the month. And if you don't listen, you can go fact yourself.
True.
Hi, I'm Janet Varney, and like many of you, brand new sentient robots excluded, I used to be a teenager. In fact, just about all of my friends were, too, including folks like comedian Danielle Radford.
And of course, all of us, you take on that theater accent, and our teacher would say, no, that isn't how people talk.
Right.
Don't do the super theater kid accent. It's the worst. But so when I was doing theater in high school, of course, I immediately was talking about being in the theater.
So join me every week on the JV Club podcast, where I speak with my favorite women artists, innovators, and humans as we reminisce about the past and how it led us to becoming who we are. Find it every Thursday on Maximum Fun.
And we're back.
Welcome to the beginning of this podcast.
Jeez.
We started over.
I just hit record.
Oh, great. So we got 3 more movies left.
We have
we have 2 revisionist, like full-on revisionist histories.
Fairy tales.
Fairy tales.
I call them revenge fairy tales.
Yeah.
Are you the only one that calls them that?
Maybe.
All right.
I don't know until one of you says it. Nope.
Revenge
Just
fairy
me.
tales? I guess,
Yep. 2 of us call it that. That is a majority.
We have, let's start with Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
We may as well. He did.
Sure. Oh, this was a mistake.
Stop laughing. Don't stop doing it.
What did you guys think of Inglourious Bastards?
I enjoyed this phase of his career.
It was not the movie I wanted.
What movie did you want?
I wanted one where Inglourious Bastards did a bunch of stuff.
As opposed to
the bad guy and the ladies. And I wanted the pulpy action, we're going to get Nazi scalps. So let's do that.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. You can't judge a movie based on what you wanted.
Yeah.
As it was great. It was that kind of great filmmaking of, the long scenes and tension.
Mm-hmm. And
Mike Myers being a British person.
Yeah. I liked Mike Myers in it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I thought it was, I'll tell you this. I don't know that I liked his performance necessarily. I liked seeing him in it.
Yeah. That's not a reason to put him in.
Yeah. Come on.
You would like seeing him if if you went to the Jiffy Lube and he was there getting his car done.
It wasn't a big enough part. It wasn't a big enough part to make a difference.
It was a big enough part that someone else should have had it, like a British person.
I don't
Representation matters.
Representation.
Cut this all out. No, I just don't care about Mike Myers, and I do not care about his. We've seen him be fake British enough.
Yeah, I thought it was. I just liked it. I thought it was an interesting, fun. Of course, Quentin Tarantino would just put Mike Myers in a role.
Why do you
this.
say that?
Because he
why
does.
Would he?
Because he does. He does things to be contrary. It seems. Quite often.
He does what he wants. I want to do something.
I want to do this. Somebody told me that, everybody's mad at Mike Myers right now. So screw you guys. I'm going to put Mike Myers in a movie.
Were we mad at him?
We're not mad at him, but I think he'd just done the Love Guru and
okay.
It was just not mad at him, but everybody was kind of ugh.
No one was a fan.
Everybody was just kind of done with him for a while. So I think that's it. I'm not saying it was my favorite thing about the movie, but it didn't bother
It was
me.
your number 2.
It was my number 2. I'll tell you what my favorite thing about that movie is little moments. First, well, no, my number 1 favorite thing about that movie was that I did not know how, fairy tale and revisionist it was until I assume everybody's seen these spoilers, whatever, until the very end when I'm like, oh, they killed Hitler.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They succeeded. Like that to me.
And that made you sad, right?
That made me very sad. Cut this out.
Do cut this out.
Yeah. But that to me, I thought was the coolest thing about that movie was that I was not expecting, nobody had hit me to the fact that it was a revenge fairy tale, that I thought it was.
As Hal would
say. I thought
We're all
that
saying it.
as most war movies that I had seen, like, what happened in the war is a given.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is a given thing. This is what happened in the war. So even if we're telling a fictional story, we still have to live inside what happened in World War II. But what this movie did was, by the end, I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. But my other favorite moment is a thing Quentin Tarantino does that I love, where you go, oh no, like you just get hit with something in the middle of a scene. And in this one, it was the holding up the number 3. Do you remember that?
No. Do you?
When he orders 3 beers, he wants to order 3 beers, and he holds up American Hand versus, and it's a scene where you don't expect a giant bloodbath. I mean, I guess you should because it's a Tarantino movie,
right?
But I wasn't.
That was the tension of that. That was what I think they did well.
Was the tension of moments
it was all like from the jump. Every scene, it was long scenes full of tension that could jump off at any point for any reason.
Yeah.
Like it was technically, like like as far as like a series of one acts essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it was really skilled directing actors stuff.
Yeah. It was it was actors getting a chance to do a lot of very cool things.
But technically.
Yeah.
Like technical stuff.
Like some Pinter pauses and and theatricality.
And as I say, like the tension is of genre. So like these scenes are mundane. I like milk kind of scenes where death is at stake. Like it's the biggest stakes over it's technically very interesting.
That opening scene. First of all, Christoph Waltz,
he's pretty good.
Oh, that
two
scene.
of them together are so.
Yeah, Christoph Waltz
so
and
well
that
matched.
guy whose name we don't know.
That opening scene is terrifying.
Everything from them starting in French to the motivation to switch to English, and the way that
the
plays
reveals
out,
and
such a great way to establish that character. That sequence alone, like if we were talking about best Tarantino scene, that would be a top 3, maybe number 1.
And Christoph Waltz is
maybe exceeded only by a couple of the scenes with him in Django Unchained. Like just a great way of building tension to something terrible is going to happen. And like you said, takes you through that wave where not only might it jump off, but it's possible it could resolve and he could go away. And this is not where the violence is going to begin. But he obviously needs to kill that family to set it's our inciting event for the rest of the movie. But also there's an element of the revenge that everybody enjoyed. Like, we want to see a bunch of Nazis killed. Wouldn't it have been great if something like this had happened?
What would you call something like that?
I call it like a revenge fairy tale.
How do you mean?
A lot of people are saying that. I heard you use it earlier.
Yeah, I forgot where I heard it
once too. Yeah.
So what?
Revenge fairy tale.
Yeah.
I would never. Because I don't get the fairy tale part.
Edit and drop that in here.
How it begins with once upon a time in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. That tracks.
That's what makes a fairy tale. All you have to, any story becomes a fairy tale if you begin it with once upon a time.
And end it with and they all lived happily ever after?
Yeah.
All right. I guess it is a revenge fairy tale.
There you go.
You really made a compelling argument.
Diane Kruger.
Atticus Finch,
Easy on the swearing. We have kids listening to our Tarantino episode. A thing that I love about this movie, just for me personally, is Diane Kruger because
she's great.
She's amazing.
Who is she in it?
She's the lead woman in it.
No, I think you're mistaken.
Oh my God. And also she is from my indulgent favorite series of movies. She's the woman in the National Treasure movies.
That's right.
So
Third
when
one coming soon.
What?
Third National Treasure movie coming soon.
You like those movies unironically?
Unironically, I like those movies.
Mark.
Dude, I auditioned for
off
Blood
the
and Treasure
podcast
by doing monologues from National Treasure.
So you
Which is which?
National Treasure,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to kidnap the President of the United States. Cut that out.
Double it.
Yeah.
Reverse it. Put it back in.
But I think I think Diane Kruger's just great in this movie. And that scene, again, going with the tension, that scene where it's just her in the office. I don't remember if it was Hitler or it was some, like, Goebbels or one of the other like
Hitler's
high level Nazis that she's, it wasn't Hitler. It was some high level Nazi that she's with. But like that scene, I just remember like the palatable, visceral sort of like tension and that. And that's what's great about this movie.
That's not at the meal where the girl who's run away from the farm.
No.
Sitting down to have, like a.
This is the scene where they kill her, where they kill Diane Kruger at the end.
Yeah. He chokes her to death.
Yeah, he chokes her to death.
Landa does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
From the movie.
Landa. Yeah.
No, Hitler only shows up to
at the very end at the
Goebbels, I think, plays a role. He's there at the dinner.
And the shooting of Hitler in that movie is, I mean, revenge fairy tale. It's just, we're going to shoot Hitler.
Stop saying
no, I'm going to keep saying it. But wait till we get to Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Oh, that vengeance epic?
Yeah. Yeah, the revenge fairy tale.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Once upon a time, a Django was unchained. No, it's great. It's great. The killing of Hitler in that movie is we're not just going to shoot him. We are going to stand over him with machine guns.
What are your top
until
Hitler
he is
deaths?
Sloppy Joe? What
are your top Hitler deaths?
Top Hitler deaths?
Number 1, the real one.
The real one. Yeah. Numbers 1 through a bajillion, the real one.
Real one.
Well, that's not how lists work.
Bajillion and 1, this one. Oh, and also that one Donald Duck cartoon.
Like Band of Brothers for me. Like they don't obviously show that, but them going into his bunker, and like divvying up all the Nazi loot and stuff, like that Band of Brothers, that's great.
I never saw Band of Brothers.
You never saw Band of Brothers?
No. I saw one episode of it. I saw where David Schwimmer is fantastic in that.
They're all so
first
good.
episode.
Every actor you know is in it. And
like that you've met.
Really?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people from the show in it. Cool.
Yeah, Collins in it and Spate.
Oh, right on. Now I got to go back and watch it.
It's a thing I'll put on if I get sick. You know, like it's a comfort food.
I just remember from those couple of episodes that I watched, Flash and Thunder became a catchphrase with a friend of mine. Remember that was how they always knew who was friendly.
Yeah, they're
Flash, Thunder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my guys, it's really good.
So the best Quentin Tarantino movie is
Band of Brothers
Flash
by a
Thunder.
mile.
Who knew? Should we move on to Django?
Yes, let's
talk about Django Unchained.
again.
Yeah, we're qualified. The three of us.
This sounds like
Talk about
a great
Django
idea.
Unchained.
I don't know if this one will win the episode, but it is, I think, my favorite Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you supposed to say that now?
Yes.
Okay.
You can say it
If
any
he's
time
saying
what
it
your
now.
favorite is.
Okay.
I don't know if
I'm
it will
saving
win.
mine. I mean, I said
saying
mine, but I'm
it's-
saving it.
It's my favorite. I love the
True Romance isn't on the list.
I love the relationship
It is when I do
between
it.
Django and Christoph Waltz's character, whose name I have forgotten.
Dr. Dentist.
Dr. Dentist.
Herman Teeth.
I love Kerry Washington.
Dr. Teeth.
And I think
It's different.
Leonardo DiCaprio is such a good villain.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I love the performance.
His name is John Candy,
His name is John Candy.
right?
That's right.
As I recall.
Yeah. The scene where they're at dinner, it has been revealed that, Samuel L. Jackson figures out what's going on and tells him. And he does the whole phrenology thing. When he finally has revealed his evil plan and is going to force them to pay him, but raise the price and embarrass them. That whole sequence is so good. He's such a good villain. That can't be, it's not comfortable anytime as an actor to have to use language like that at all.
It's not comfortable as an audience member to listen to language like that.
No. In that movie, that's the only movie where it feels like, okay, he used the N-word a ton, but it also is you're being confronted with it rather than this is how cool people just talk to each other out on the street. From that point, historically.
But does that make it earned?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
That none of us are
Right.
qualified
That
to
is
answer.
not the three of us. It's
at
not our
all.
job. Yeah.
Not for us to decide.
But it is part of deciding, I guess,
It
the
is
best.
it is a very well-made movie. It is uncomfortable to watch for a majority of it, which I think is what makes it good. And what makes it something you should be aware of terrible things that have happened. And
Tarantino is the one.
Tarantino, who better than a white dude from California to show it to you?
I can answer that.
Please.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
But also, and this is to a lesser extent, that also, like, he's not Jewish, nor is he German. He made Inglourious Bastards. Like, that is not his story. He makes a lot of stories that are not his story to tell necessarily. I don't know if it's...
And does
that mean it isn't a story that we should watch and, like, regard in some way? You know?
I think it gives it an asterisk, you know? Like, it's... If everybody's only supposed to tell their stories, then it's a limited scope of everything.
Right.
There's ways to tell stories that aren't yours, that are respectful to the stories, and they involve a lot of listening and a lot of different kinds of work. And there's no way to determine if that work was done.
Right.
So it's a nebulous thing.
Do you think that collaboration is a part of that with people whose
For sure.
story it is to tell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, he's making a revenge Western.
Right.
You could, the argument that could be made.
He's making popcorn movies.
Yeah, he's making a popcorn movie. This is the setting for it. He's used, you know, a lot of the torture devices that are in the candies, that sort of barn where he's taken. Like, those are things that were actually used.
Yeah.
Those are historically accurate. So at least it shows that there was research and care made as far as that. I don't know if it's giving it a ride, or is it how we're looking at it? Are we looking at it with the lens of, like, he's making a historical movie that he shouldn't be making because it's not his history to tell? Or is it he's making a Tarantino movie that is set here? I don't know the answer to it. It's just sort of the question.
Right.
It's kind of posed.
And these questions are as compelling, more compelling, less compelling than the movie.
Although the scene that I loved that made me think, there's one scene that reminded me of something that you would write, and there's
one in there too.
You've heard.
I mean,
this.
like I have felt that way when I was watching.
Which scene is this?
It's the scene where Don Johnson has gathered a group of men to go lynch Django and Dr. Dentist.
That's not the me part.
No, the entire scene of, like, who cut the eye holes in these bags? Like, I can't see anything out of these eyes.
Right. My wife
made these.
Yeah.
You try and get all these bags. Like, it's like finding a Tarantino movie moment, and it's just like it's not about the racism as much as, like, this is a very weird slice of life moment. What would happen if they all showed up and none of their eyes aligned? They couldn't see anything.
Well,
I felt that too.
Yeah.
Watching it, like, this is me as hell.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with that feeling.
Right.
Cause, like, it's not like he was like, I'm gonna do it like Acker and Blacker would have done it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the conversation. But there's occasionally movies now where just by dint of us making things and the zeitgeist being the zeitgeist, that there's stuff that feels like, oh, that's really close. And what does that mean?
But I also don't think you would write, like, we wrote a scene of a bunch of people going to lynch a black man because they're super racist. But that idea of,
but just that the execution of who cut these? My wife. Well, she's bad at cutting eye holes in Klan masks. Yeah. I don't know.
And then, like, you're a bad person for insulting my wife. Don't expect these hoods from us anymore.
Right. It's
And then, like, I tore mine, which is, what's his name?
Yeah.
Jonah Hill. Making a brief appearance.
Do you think that is...
What do I do? No, what do I do with this feeling?
Oh, sorry. I was going to talk about the movies where...
No. What do I do?
I think
just give up writing because Tarantino's doing what you're doing.
Feel good about it.
Yeah.
Because, it is a moment, provides a moment of levity. It works really well as a scene.
Oh yeah, no, it's the best part.
Everybody enjoys it.
I love it.
The part that sounds like I wrote it was the best part.
Yeah, obviously.
It's the best part.
Is that what I do with it? And then keep that to myself.
Yeah, that's the part you said. This part you don't say.
Podcast.
Out loud,
sure.
Yeah.
Keep this in.
But that's that Tarantino style of writing in that scene, and the way that, like, even like the building up tension so much and uncomfortability, like in that dinner scene, and ultimately paying it off at the end when Django burns the whole thing to the ground. Yeah. Do you think that we were talking about that not being Tarantino's story to tell, but is that Tarantino using his superpowers?
I think we were saying, is it his story?
Is it his story? Yeah.
Right. I don't think we come down.
We didn't necessarily say
we're bad people.
But, but I think that is him using his powers for good. You know what I mean? Like, using what he is good at. And that in those two movies, I think are great examples of that tension building. And then you want so badly for these villains to.
There's also an interesting aspect that is like in making a confection, a pop culture confection out of this kind of story. Right. It makes it potentially succeeds in making, in tricking people into empathizing with a character they wouldn't necessarily empathize with. Like if you're a Klan guy, like if you're a guy who would belong in that scene with the Klan,
right?
There's a world where you're watching this movie and empathizing with the protagonist because that's movies.
Right.
And that's expanding your worldview as a consumer of pop culture, expanding your worldview in a way that you don't get in your, your day-to-day life.
And that is arguably the best thing that a movie can do.
Yeah. But I think
I don't know.
I think there
is my head on my
No,
about that?
I think you brought up a really good conversation around this movie that because I'm a straight white dude, just hadn't thought about as much. And I know the extent to which, like, Tarantino, like many people before him and after him, appropriate culture from everywhere all the time. And this is maybe
like in Might Magazine.
Like in Might Magazine.
That's why black people are calling the white people. That was the story in Might
That's the whole. Remember, this is a callback.
It's appropriating culture.
Yeah.
So maybe
I get it. My family knew Elvis.
Don't name drop in the middle of this podcast.
I'm just saying.
But tell that story.
That's the most appropriating.
But also, how does your family know Elvis?
I never told you this. I told you this story.
Wait.
That Elvis made my mom the homecoming queen?
Like he rigged an election.
Yeah, basically. So, okay.
He didn't even go to the school.
Quick sidebar.
Hold on. Did he go to the school?
No. So my grandfather was a sheriff's deputy in Memphis who, one of his tasks was to, unlock like the high school football stadium at midnight when Elvis and his friends wanted to go play, or go keep an eye on them when they went and rented out a movie
How
theater.
old is Elvis at this point?
Elvis, this is, 65, 60.
So like peak, this is
peak,
this
like,
is post
this is after the late 50s Elvis, and like, he'd been making movies and was still doing albums and going back and forth to Memphis. And
so he was basically his guy at the station at the force who would help him out.
Exactly.
Okay.
And my mom was riding in a car with Elvis, and her father was driving, my grandfather, and Colonel Tom. And she said she seized an opportunity that I love this about my mother. So the way it worked then in her school was, of all the cheerleaders, whichever one sold the most raffle tickets was the homecoming queen. That's how it worked. And she, in the car with Elvis, was like, hey, Elvis, because they'd met when she was really little. She was like 13 when they met. And she was like, oh, come on. And she's like, Elvis, whoever sells the most raffle tickets gets to be homecoming queen. And Elvis said, oh, hell, Suzanne, I'll just buy all of them. And Elvis bought all of the raffle tickets, won the raffle, and my mother was homecoming queen.
What did he get in the raffle?
I think a bike.
Oh,
yeah.
Are there pictures of Elvis right now? I always wanted a bike.
Yeah.
I
never rode a bicycle before.
Yeah, this is great.
Let me put some fins on this one.
I put my feet on the pedal.
I'm going to put peanut butter on it and eat it.
What were we talking about before we got off on this?
Your mom, your grandma?
We were talking about appropriation of culture.
Yeah, the extent to which this film appropriates culture and how difficult it is to really look at it and say, is this okay? This just becomes a question that hangs there.
Well,
because we can certainly ask
but it's your favorite.
We certainly can't. I really enjoyed watching
I love appropriating.
I could watch it over and over again. Everything from, the whole movie, just the way the scene, I think it's very well written. I think it builds tension in a really great way. It's enjoyable to watch him kill all of these dumb
when they
racist
yanked
guys.
that woman, when he shot her and they just yanked her into that room.
Yes.
That's just really fun.
Yeah.
Like all that rest of that, like let's think about it and let's figure it out and let's talk and have a society and respect and everything. But when he shot that lady, that was fun. Hi, I'm the part of the problem.
Well, let's move on then from this, and let's
12 Years a Slave.
If we're talking about,
let's pivot.
If we're talking about Quentin Tarantino and what stories are his to tell.
Oh wait, by the way, I do want to point out. I know you referenced that, but if you want to see a movie that actually, like, if you do want to learn more about
visit your local library,
about how horrific slavery was, watch 12 Years a Slave, which is directed by Steve McQueen and is a
British person.
It's so
is it his story to
not
tell?
his story to tell.
Yeah. It's like really hard to watch, but really, really good, and a good education in things that you probably learned in school. But this is something that will make it stick.
You don't get a visceral feeling.
In the same way that Glory makes it stick, like to actually see them try to accurately portray what that experience
Or have
is like.
empathy. Just have empathy.
Yeah.
Well, also just
JK,
be a good person as well.
Don't have empathy. More trouble than it's worth. Cut this
All
out.
right. Moving on.
Yeah.
Good done.
To a story that I think is Quentin Tarantino's to tell because it's about straight white dudes in Hollywood. We're skipping Hateful Eight because we already said that it is no good.
Not the winner.
And that is the most recent one. We are up to this one now.
That's
right. Okay. There aren't any that I
The
missed.
10th film from
The
Quentin
9th.
Tarantino. Well, Death
It's
Proof.
the
9th film from Quentin Tarantino.
Well, look, if we went into this saying that was what we were going to cover, we were going to cover the ones that Quentin Tarantino refers to as his canon of film.
movie. I forgot that that's the 9th in front of
this is the 9th movie, and it is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And this is, for me personally, this is contending at 1 or 2 with Pulp Fiction.
Do you guys know Mark Wahlberg's story of 9/11?
What?
Mark Wahlberg has said, if I were on that plane, I would have stopped those guys.
No.
Right. So you think this is that?
This is that.
This is
If the
movie
people
version.
that I made up had been next door to those people,
Okay, I see what
Then
you're saying.
Sharon Tate would have lived.
Sharon Tate would still be alive today. Controversial take.
That's look, I get it.
Like,
Isn't that what a lot of these movies are? If this guy,
yes,
had
but
been a
this one made me think
Hitler would have been
that,
dead.
Yeah,
Like,
if
these people
Eli
have been
Roth
around.
and the Inglourious Bastards had been around, then Hitler would have,
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this run that he's
I know,
on.
but this one specifically made me think of that, thought, the Mark Wahlberg thought experiment. Like, all it takes is one just little detail of people I made up.
Yeah. By the way, that's going to be an improv group name at some point, I'm sure. The Mark Wahlberg Thought Experiment.
So
I'd go see that show at UCB.
I saw this in the theater. You just watched it yesterday.
I did just watch it. So it is fresh in my mind and I absolutely loved it. And this is me not having yet seen it, which I will, having seen it in a theater on a big screen.
Right.
This was on an iPad and it's still one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. Now, granted, I have lived in Los Angeles for 20 years, except for a little time in New York.
Counts.
So there are elements of this movie that I personally just love. The scene where all the neon is clicking on at sunset and all the different places that I go, oh, I know that place. Oh, I love that bar. El Coyote. Or like streets.
You don't love El Coyote.
No, but like things that I
you know
recognize.
it, yeah.
No.
And
The
like
salsa's good.
I actually had the thought,
I once got a burrito there. There was a boiled chicken with a slice of American cheese
that's the-
wrapped in a flour tortilla.
El Coyote uses American cheese, which is insane to me for a Mexican
The rest of
restaurant.
it is not very
Normally
good. The warm salsa is very good.
Yeah.
Just get chips and salsa and then leave.
And is there cilantro in that salsa?
Nope.
Great.
No, I hate cilantro. You and I are in the same train.
All right.
We
I
punched
love
that
cilantro.
train. We punched that cilantro.
You know
train
what?
right
Let's
again.
go. We'll get it, and I will order some cilantro on the side. You won't have to have it. I will put it in my salsa, and I will love every second of it.
No, we're not going to
That's
El Coyote.
That's a different episode. Is cilantro good or bad?
It's bad. Asked and answered.
All right.
Go ahead.
But yeah, no, that's just what I love about this movie. Aside from the fact that I think it is masterful storytelling done in, and it does all of those elements really well. Ben Acker is just smushing the mic onto his face. I don't know if it is out of frustration at what I am saying or sheer boredom.
Or just to see how it
just
feels.
to see what it feels like to smush a microphone on your face.
Yeah.
But I don't know if everybody heard just stubble rustle.
Yeah.
Whatever I said might have just gone by the wayside. They
What's
may
it
have just
like?
been hearing.
Doing a live edit. Shut up, Mark.
You know these are isolated tracks, right?
I don't even know what that means.
Boost that to 150.
I just look over and Acker is just smushing a
He's
mic
just
on his
holding-
face.
I don't know what that is.
Tickled me. to so disregard what you were saying. It's like, what else can I be doing right now? I never felt this. Yeah, it's LA.
Oh my God. Why do I take this abuse from you two?
Because I love it.
What am I doing?
Yeah, good point. But I loved this
Cut it out.
movie. What did you hate this movie?
No, it's fine.
All that, and that's what I get. No, it's fine.
What did you like about it?
I don't remember.
You just saw it too.
Hold on. It's just because it's Mark. Oh, cut this out.
Please double the laughter. So it sounds like there's a room full of Bens laughing at Mark.
At my love of Los Angeles.
I also enjoyed it. I like that period of time.
Yeah,
in particular.
it
was great. I loved it. I loved every
Yeah.
time.
This is the moment we lost Acker forever. He's just giggling in the corner now.
One thing that I thought was neat about it. We're just going to keep going while
We're just going to keep going while Ben turns bright red.
We got a
laughing.
podcast to do, buddy. You have fun. Do you want to lay down? We're in a hotel room.
Ken, I hope you can find a way to edit this together
Do you think
that holds
I don't know
some
if I've
of this.
ever seen you laugh.
I've
this
never
hard in
seen
my
you
life.
laugh this hard.
You get so mad. Every inch of it kills me.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
I'm working on it.
I know.
Oh, Mark.
Are we ready to go?
Sure.
Back to one.
Cut this out.
Serious. No, but save it. Like, don't put it in the podcast.
No.
For something else.
Just save it for Ben has a
Who knows
insane
what will
giggle
stay
fit.
in? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what Ken's going to keep in.
We don't know.
Held the mic to my mouth. While I was laughing. Oh, that was an sore.
All right. So moving on to our last movie, let's talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You know what I liked? It's the LA stuff. No, sorry, I'm just around now. I was just going back to one.
One cool thing. First of all, I love the soundtrack again.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really good at putting soundtracks. He had Ennio Morricone do the music for.
Is it Ennio?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think I said Ennio, didn't I?
Enrico.
Oh, well. Morricone did the
Look, not important. Ken cut this
music
out.
for Django Unchained, which is really cool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, but the soundtrack for this obviously is all. Not only are they all songs that were hits at the time, there were songs that were hits at the time in LA specifically, and he found like people who had recorded their radio. So those moments where they're listening, when they turn on the radio and you hear like ads and the talk,
those are real.
Stuff, those are people who recorded their radios in 1969 that he went and used. It's like part of the color and part that kind of helps you transition into different moments in the movie.
The detail is stunning in that movie.
Do you guys listen to Dana's podcast?
No.
On the Dana Gould Hour, he has this woman whose name escapes me, and I feel bad about not retaining names as well as I did in my youth. But she's the daughter of the guy who played Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like she grew up in Los Angeles and is a real like aficionado. She does an Instagram account that's about vintage Los Angeles stuff.
Love it.
And she's just a giant fan of this movie and all the details. And it's a good episode of Dana's podcast.
Oh.
With her talking about like being around when they were shooting it.
Yeah.
Like, seeing the signage that was there.
Is the supply sergeant sign still there? I actually had that thought.
Yes, it is.
In the movie, I was like,
so.
oh, the supply sergeant
But I
neon
think
sign.
that store has moved. I think it's on Highland.
But the sign's still there.
Highland at like Santa Monica. Yes,
Yeah.
that is still there. No, Supply Sergeant is on Hollywood.
It's on Hollywood
still there.
Boulevard, yeah.
I'm thinking of a different surplus store that is further south. Because I used to shop at those places for sketch shows. That was like the place where you go,
course.
like, oh, I'm going to play a soldier. Let me go get actual stuff there.
And it was just down the street from Hollywood Toys and Costumes where you'd go get like,
Everything
oh,
else.
I need
I'm a soldier with a mustache.
Yeah. I'm a soldier, but I wear John Lennon glasses.
Yeah, and a stethoscope.
I'm a stethoscope.
I'm playing Wooly Willy in this sketch show, so I need all sorts of different configurations.
Oh, pardon me, stripper who is shopping for outfits with a guy who is 5 times larger than any other guy.
I need magnetic filings.
For those who don't know, Hollywood Toys and Costumes is right next to the Second City on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yes.
And is where everyone even when we were on Melrose doing sketch comedy, it seemed to be the official go-to store for any ridiculous sketch comedy costumes you need. So everybody's sketch comedy costumes always looked like, slapped together Halloween costumes.
Yeah. And it's where my terrible series of headshots, the fireman ones.
Oh, they're
That's
great.
where I got that outfit.
It's pretty great.
Hollywood touring costume.
Now, see, this movie is already just making me nostalgic about interesting Hollywood
Places
things.
you were at 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the story, I think the story probably hits home. I know it hits home for me as an actor to watch a guy who was a star and then walked away to do bigger things, and that kind of killed his career. And watching the sort of the ups and the downs and his insecurity about whether he's any good at it. The scene where he freaks out at himself in the trailer.
It's hilarious and brilliant.
Yeah.
And then the scene later on where he, and this is good on DiCaprio, masterfully acts a scene and then masterfully acts enjoying a director enjoying his masterfully acting a scene. It's very, it's beautiful. And I tell you this, not at the risk of sounding, cheesy, a moment in the movie that really just touched me for some reason. Just because I think Margot Robbie's brilliant. She wears her heart on her sleeve in every movie she's in, and she's so good at it. And also the way Sharon Tate is portrayed in this movie as this ultimate innocent. The scene where she goes to a movie theater and sees the movie that she is in is playing. She gets excited, but sort of timidly excited, goes inside.
But name drops herself to get in there.
Yeah.
Name drops herself to get in. And then the scene where she's just sitting in a theater watching an audience, or hearing an audience laugh at a bit that she did in the movie and just enjoy that moment. I find that for what we do in our jobs, that I found that to be a very touching moment. An actor hearing an audience laugh at a bit she did for the first time. I think that is a beautiful scene. And I think maybe that's one reason.
Great
she's so great in everything.
She's fantastic.
Bombshell, she's amazing. She's just a great actor.
I, Tonya.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Yeah.
She's so good in that.
Yeah. That whole movie.
Way to
that's
just
hard
burst on the scene too.
It's hard to, when you're going toe to toe with Allison Janney in that movie.
Yeah.
And I know they're working together. It's not like they're competing in it, but it's hard to, when you have an actor who is that good doing it, that specific character, and then working with her and matching her, and everybody's making everybody better.
It's Jordan and Pippen.
To see.
Have you done that?
Yeah, with him.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's only Adventure Hour, honestly.
Right, but is there a moment where it's I guess that's a valid answer.
There's so much Thrilling Adventure Hour that we did that it was this person is bringing their A game.
Anytime
Which
I'm
every
out there
time,
with anybody performing, I always try, for me, it's acting school to see them, how good they are, and try, I just want to hang in there. I want to bring something to the table, make sure I'm giving them something to work with. And then Venture Brothers too, because you have Chris, Jackson Public on the other side of the glass performing with you. So it's you're doing a scene every single time. So you want to, the level of work that's being done, and you want to be there with it and do your best.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's no standout time. It's just that answered my question. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you always are trying to work with and make your partner look good. And
not especially with Thrilling, it's not just with when huge guest stars come in. It's with the regular cast is so solid and tight. Every time Jackson and I are up there doing Sparks and Croach, I just want to go toe to toe with Jackson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's a powerhouse, and it's fun to, it's fun to try to keep up.
Yeah, and doing stuff with Craig, every time I'm paired with Craig, I'm oh my God.
Yeah.
I have to bring it because I don't bring it any other time, but I really want to make sure.
You feel
I want to do
the thing that you see, Margot Robbie and Allison Janney, you feel that.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, the point of all of this being that Margot Robbie is exceptional in everything she does, and in this movie she is great.
Yeah.
My only note.
For her or for the movie?
For her.
Yes.
Margot Robbie would be easier to say. Long O's. Just do Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie. I gotta go, is this and then this that. This is the oldest man comment I've ever had.
Sure.
Match your
I'm from the
vowels.
South. Diphthongs and tripthongs are just in our blood. So we can fit so many vowels. Your wife does the same thing, Hal. Fits so many vowels into a word.
It's amazing. I don't know how she finds the time.
But Margot, if you're listening to this,
Seriously.
think about it.
Yeah. It's worth considering.
Just think about it.
I really like Brad Pitt in this movie. I like Brad Pitt as an actor in general. I know, I feel like he's kind of divisive. I think some people
Who
feel
doesn't
he's
like Brad Pitt?
I think there are people who think he's
Jennifer
kind of
Aniston.
flat, or like
fair
there may be people who think. I think when you are a super attractive human being, that your skill doesn't get looked at as much. Like I think
I
Harrison
get that.
Ford
Yeah.
has turned in really good performances, but he'll never be talked. He'll always be a great star, but never a great actor because he's a good looking guy and did a bunch of action movies.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt
same
is
way with-
really good looking, but he works super hard and the work is there. This is a great character for him.
It's also a subdued character for him. It's not like he's just reacting truthfully. That's all he does in this movie is
This is
react.
the first movie where he doesn't eat anything. Oh, he eats in it.
He does eat in it.
Yeah. Does he
gets
eat in
mac
every
and
movie?
cheese. Well, in the Ocean's 11 movie, he made that his character.
Yeah, that he's always eating.
something in every single scene he's in.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
He's great in those. Anyway, yeah, I mean, this movie
He's great
is,
in Seven.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
He's great in Fight Club.
and that's the thing.
Yes, he
more
is.
was asked of him in Seven and Fight Club than in this. But even in a movie where not much outwardly is being, I guess he's got a trippy scene where he's supposed to be on acid.
But that scene at the ranch. Was that where he was on acid? Yeah.
No,
at the ranch,
home.
he's at home.
It's the night of the big
But
violent scene.
he's so he never blows his top in this movie, and I think and everything he does is understated in this movie. I think is great. Like the scene where he goes to the ranch and he just wants to check in on his.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
It's a great scene. And a thing I love, I read a review of it that this reviewer pointed out, and I thought it was very smart and cool. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I never noticed that. He's like, Quentin Tarantino always does a great job of giving you the unexpected. And so when in the moment it's everybody going, yeah, he's asleep in the bedroom.
And then the surprise is that he's asleep.
The surprise is, literally that's it. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Tarantino.
We were expecting anything but that.
Yeah.
It kind of made me go, this is one of those things where I didn't know as much about the circumstances surrounding the Manson family living on that ranch that I went and looked it up.
Did they actually live on that ranch? I don't
learn
know.
that Bruce that's
You
that
guys.
is actually
We'll have to plug a third podcast.
Yeah.
And everybody knows about this one.
Please.
But
you must remember this.
You must remember this.
Yeah.
10, I don't know how many episodes were devoted to the Manson family.
I have not listened to
but
those
it is
yet.
like epic, and it is why this movie was made. Like there's Manson in the culture now because this podcast was so thorough and such captivating storytelling. Like it's already, a captivating subject, but the way that she told the story just laid it out so clearly and found all the angles on it. It's if you haven't heard it and you're at all interested in that stuff, like it's the best murder podcast. It's the best history podcast. Like, it was an interesting thing to be in LA the year that came out, because it was one of the things that everybody at every party was talking about. Like, and I'd never, like, I helped make a podcast.
Yeah.
I'd never been so like, have you guys heard this podcast? Like, I've never been privy to that,
Yeah. 100%.
It's a great one.
But yeah, that guy actually existed and was there being manipulated by them, and she was called Squeaky Frome because of the noise that the bed springs made.
Oh wow!
When she was having sex with him
on the bed from.
On the bed from.
Boo.
That's why she was called that. Don't boo me.
Let's talk a little bit about the Manson element of this, because in the other movies with the revenge fairy tale ending, if you will, from the get-go what's going on. Like it is like set up that this is a movie about Nazis. It's set up that this is a movie about slavery. This is not like, even throughout the movie, they never call him Charles Manson. They just say Charlie. Until halfway through, you don't find out that, I mean, you
only see him once.
You clue in very early on what's going on, but nothing is overt. It's not overtly about that. So if you're going to say what this movie is about,
it's 95% a 70s Hollywood hangout movie.
Yeah.
And then an ending that feels like a different movie
that has been dropped in little bits of it throughout.
Yeah. It does. For some reason, going to see this, and I was expecting it to be super violent. I was kind of waiting for that to happen. And he waited long enough that I sort of been lulled in. I was like, all right, the violence we're going to see is for sure her getting murdered. Like, this doesn't feel like Inglourious Bastards or Django Unchained. You knew you were going in to see history turned on its ear and see like the bad guys get what's coming to them. And then in this, you don't get that for me, watching it, I got so pulled into their relationship and the story of his career and Brad Pitt sort of navigating his life and how that had been changed. The Bruce Lee scene is also weird and odd and just feels like something Tarantino wanted to do when he was a kid. Like, I definitely could have beaten up Bruce Lee, and now I'm going to put it in a like. Wouldn't it be cool if this guy did it instead?
Well, it's character establishing thing, goes.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the best. I mean, like it's a strong choice. It's not the best choice. I'm saying it's a strong choice to go. How do I show that this guy is tough? Well, who's the toughest guy?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like it's a real it comes from a real logical storytelling place.
That's true.
He does a lot of that in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
Like the most succinct way to tell you something he finds.
He even set us up.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but you
it
know what I
doesn't
mean?
feel as much like 3 hours. Like it moves well. So I don't care what a runtime is. I care like how it feels. Because an hour and a half can feel like all day. 3 hours can feel like 90 minutes.
That movie felt like because they break it up into days and then there's a point where it's 6 months later, you know, all this sort of the way it's broken up. I felt more like, and I don't know if this is a positive or a negative. It almost felt like binging a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt a little like I was binging a TV show, but a TV show that's, 3 episodes long.
Did you see the Hail Caesar?
Yes.
I did not see Hail Caesar.
That was maybe the first movie that I was like, I wish this had been a season of television instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No, I mean, this is no. I don't need. They hung with those people.
Yeah.
For like that for the
Long
length
enough.
of time. Yeah.
You talk about him upsetting expectations. I spent most of the movie, and he does a very good job of making you fall in love with Sharon Tate as a person. Like, she's sweet, she's talented, she's on the rise, and it makes you get like I can't believe she was cut down in her prime and really for nothing, just almost random for where she lived more than who she was at all. That did not really matter. Could have been anybody of note in that house or just anybody in that house. So you're bracing yourself like, I don't want to see her go.
Yeah.
I know at least I have these characters.
And then she walks out with the pregnant Belle and you're like, that detail.
She was pregnant. The Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of it all was what I thought I was watching. It's like, what if these guys lived next door? But then they subverted my expectations. And the way they did it, although it gets super crazy, super fast, I for some reason, the whole thing felt like 15 minutes of Chekhov's gun. Like, they have set up every single one of these things. It's logical how we got here. It's absolutely bananas, but everything
and then out comes that flamethrower, and you're like, everything was set up.
Everything, the dog, like the cigarette to the dog to the flamethrower to how violent he is, whether or not he killed his wife. Well, it seems like he did. Like, there's logic to all of it, including why they would go to that house instead of the Sharon Tate's house.
And calling a car a mechanical asshole is hilarious. To refer to a loud car as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this and Pulp Fiction are my two contenders.
I guess part of it for me
Yeah.
was that I knew, because I didn't rush out to see it.
I was the same way. I knew the ending.
I knew the ending. So it felt like a second viewing the first time. And it was like, okay. So it wasn't, so it sounds like the subverted expectation, like that because you knew the history and you didn't have that spoiled, that you got to have your expectations subverted, which feels like it would have been a more profound viewing experience to go, this.
Yeah.
But you got the big expectation subversion. There are little ones throughout, like that Bruce Stern scene.
That is a great example. That's probably there's way more suspense to that than there is to the end of the movie. It's just the left turn that I enjoyed, and it turned into like a thrill ride, and it was maybe probably because it was less. I mean, it's all appropriation, but it feels less like a cultural appropriation that I could just sort of sit back and enjoy, and it feels more like an amusement ride. Whereas the violence in Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained is like, get him, you go get him. This is like,
well, this was you go get him too.
It was, but this was also like,
it was. You don't have a whole history of.
There's the randomness of it.
We have the history,
right?
You have the history of the actual history of the man
bring in,
right?
Of knowing the thing,
and they give you enough to know, and they give you enough reminders of like, oh yeah, Sharon Tate was kind and wonderful and pregnant.
And these dudes are assholes.
And they're monsters. Yeah. I also loved that when they show her watching Wrecking Crew, it's the actual footage and they didn't recreate the footage. You're actually seeing Sharon Tate, which now 50 years later, Sharon Tate got seen on the big screen by tens of millions of people in a movie that might win the best picture of the year. Like that is.
She's not nominated.
In no way is there justice in this.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a tiny, tiny micro sense.
Even the narrative device of using Steve McQueen at the Playboy Mansion to explain the relationship between her and Roman Polanski and the character that Emile Hirsch played, who was also a murder victim that evening. Like everybody in that house was killed.
Sebring.
Jay Sebring. Mm-hmm. It feels like he took everything he had done well before. This felt like an evolutionary step for him, or at least a way for him to go, here's all the stuff that I do that works. I'm going to put it all in one movie for you. And it's going to track almost 100% to where it should go. And I'm going to use Al Pacino in like the best way you could use him in a movie now. Like he comes in like a special forces guy, does his job and gets out.
And it's another great, Tarantino, like little tiny detail of the Mr. Schwartz. It's just Schwartz. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mr. Schwartz. Like, just those little kind of moments of life that he's so good at.
I think that was Luke Perry's last on-screen role. His last movie role.
And that scene's amazing. That little girl is great.
Little girl's great.
The scene with him and the little girl is very funny. When she's reading a giant biography of Walt Disney and he's reading a teeny little pulp western.
Yeah, that whole scene is fantastic.
That scene's so fun.
Who's the dude and the cowboy he's playing against?
It's
Tim Oliphant.
Tim Oliphant.
I was like, that's a dude we know. Oh no, that's just a dude I like from TV.
Yeah. I do think that scene could have been cut in half. Like that is a very long way to set up that.
The scene he keeps messing up?
He's messing up and struggling in his acting. That was a good 20-minute scene, it felt like.
Oliphant was good in it.
But Oliphant was great in it.
But I also think it's supposed to feel that way because it makes you feel like he's going to make this day so long because he cannot get this shot right. Had he done it perfectly all the way through, the scene would have been way shorter. But he keeps messing up.
Well,
and
no, I'm not saying.
I'm
saying that we see so much of the Western.
That's what I'm saying. I like the amount of time we spent there. There's a rumor
it makes
going
you feel
around.
The length of the day.
Yeah.
There's a rumor going around that Tarantino wants to do a 5-episode run of Bounty Law. Like actually go make that
great.
or make a spin-off of it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I kind of like to see his version of that show. Those little bits were really good. His role in FBI where he comes in, just like everything about it. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. I wonder if it's recency bias because it just came out, but it does feel like the stuff we're talking about with this movie, you can't really apply to any of his other ones, but it does take that entire body of work to get to this film.
Well, and also the thing you were saying earlier about Ghostbusters.
Talking about me.
Yes, you, Ben. About Ghostbusters, like, I don't know if it was good or bad. It's just so much a part of my life. I don't know how I can compare this to Pulp Fiction because Pulp Fiction is one of those movies for me that I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of times. So I know objectively that it's good, but like, I know it so well that I can't, it feels difficult to make a determination on, to be objective on. That said, what are you have not said,
it didn't thrill me. Like this movie, like I recognized fun things in it. It didn't have a big effect. I think all you're saying is true. Like it's probably one of his best, if not his best, like most mature work. And the stuff in it was entertaining. Like it didn't drag and it didn't bump very often. But it's not what I go to the movies for, maybe.
Okay.
And like it felt so tonally different. Like we live in a golden age of tone where you can do so much. You watch Barry or you watch Death of Stalin and you see like that you can go from all the way over here to all the way over there in like a second, you know, like there's so much. And for it to feel so like cartoonishly grotesque or grotesquely cartoonish, like it was like, yeah, okay, I get that this is, but like it was choices of like how to show that violence that felt ugly in a way that that the movie wasn't.
Are you talking about the last 15 minutes?
Yeah. Was it 15 minutes or 2 minutes? Like, that's the thing. Like, it threw me out of it in a way that was like, and it's not what happened. It's how they showed what happened that felt like outside of the tone that they'd set up for this movie.
Right.
It was restrained, you know, and then that wasn't, and it's fine. Like, it's set up narratively. It's fine. But in the total of it, like, it didn't feel, it's not what I'm looking for in a movie. You know, the characters were.
Right.
And they didn't bring me in. Like, I'm watching them and it's fine. And I get who those guys are. So it was a well-made movie in all the ways. But it didn't engage me because that's not what I'm looking for in a movie necessarily. You know, I don't necessarily, not necessarily along for the ride for a Tarantino, right?
Just
like,
in general?
Right. Yeah. Like not Inglourious Basterds, Hateful Eight threw me out of, like, even giving a about what that guy has to say. So yeah, I watched it because it was a screener. You know?
Sure.
And people had spoken glowingly about it. So it's like, yeah, I'll give a thing a try for a couple of minutes. And I watched the whole thing through, and, like, it was great. And there were moments of, like, real, you know, I enjoyed the Margot Robbie of it all, you know, and those guys are good. DiCaprio doesn't really do it for me. Like, I feel like I've seen the limits of him.
Yeah.
Right. He's good at what he does, but it's not your alley.
But is he? Like,
I think
he's good at what he does. Yeah.
He's
good at being a movie star.
It took until Catch Me If You Can to really be bought into him, because that was the first time I saw him play. Everything else I'd seen him do felt overstated, and that was the first time I saw him play a more subtle.
Yeah,
and that was
did you see Inception?
I did see Inception.
He was so cardboard in that, I thought. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was interesting in the background of this thing.
I thought he served the movie,
and that might be why I thought it was cardboard.
It wasn't.
That was that kind of movie.
It's hard to stand out in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Heath Ledger did it.
Like, you're gonna like more. But that's like the role. Like, that's him inhabiting a role in a way that nobody else in that film could have. I think Leonardo DiCaprio does a good job of not be like the Pacino of it all now, where if Pacino's in something, you have come to expect what he's going to do, and it supersedes the role. I think he slides into stuff better than he should be able to, given who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just not super engaging to me. Like,
That's fair.
I don't see, like, I feel like I'm watching him act as opposed to seeing the humanity of a character.
Okay.
You know? And I don't know, like, that's just subjective whatever, but that's what this podcast is.
No, this podcast is objectively.
Oh,
yeah.
We make the subjective.
We make the subjective objective. So, but we have to determine, guys, much like a Tarantino film,
yes,
we are running long.
Well, we're going to cut out all that giggles. Right?
Yeah, maybe. Offhand, what are we thinking?
I just thought of it again.
Where are you guys standing right now? We've talked about all the movies. We have to determine what is objectively the best Tarantino film. I now am realizing that not much of a Tarantino fan.
But True Romance is the answer.
But you love that.
Yeah.
Not on the list.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, look.
He did not direct it, but he did write it. Tony Scott directed that.
Yeah, I know.
Mint chocolate chip ice cream is a delicious ice cream, but that's not going to win our best Tarantino movie episode.
Maybe it should.
Well, you convinced me. I'm going to say first place mint chocolate chip ice cream, second place True Romance.
If he had directed that, I think
then I think it would be a worse movie.
Could be.
Yeah.
So you think he's better as a writer than a director? Having somebody else better with his written work, better to have somebody else direct it than him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
Do you think if you took 20,
like if Wes Anderson directed Reservoir Dogs, Hal?
If Wes Anderson directed Reservoir Dogs, it would have been beautiful and everybody would have been Mr. Pink. It would have just been pastels.
Mr. Periwinkle. Yeah. Mr. Cornflower.
Jason Schwartzman cutting off somebody's ear. Owen Wilson's ear.
To Britpop.
Yeah, exactly. or something in
What
French.
a drag it is getting old.
So do we agree that if you were to have it be a head-to-head, it would be Pulp Fiction or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Or Reservoir Dogs.
Or Reservoir Dogs? Or Kill Bill Volume 1?
No. Like the first one, the masterpiece, the most recent one.
Yeah.
Right?
I think... where are you leaning, Mark? Are you going to go with... Would you go with Pulp Fiction because that's
the thing is, I love Pulp Fiction so much that it's almost hard for me to be objective about it. But I would say that I think Pulp Fiction changed cinema.
Certainly influenced it.
Yeah. And I think that for me, I think it might be that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was so recent. And you're right, though. It took all of the best versions of everything he did, and it eliminated some of his worst tendencies, language-wise and otherwise, that Pulp Fiction.
You barely see any feet in this one.
That's true.
You see a lot of feet in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
It's like a foot fest.
Oh, right.
It's a foot fest.
But they're always shod.
You got, You got bare feet in a movie theater. You got bare feet on a dashboard.
Oh, I guess that's true.
You got bare feet walking around the house.
There's a lot of shots of people's shoes, though, like lots of walking
There are
shots.
plenty of shoes, but there are plenty of not shoes.
Is he a foot fetish guy? Is that his thing?
Yeah.
It seems,
Just according to everything he's ever shown.
I was saying, you said that so objectively. It was as if
Like, it
Quentin
feels
Tarantino said, hey, Ben, just in case anyone ever asks, objectively, yes, you can say, you're allowed to say, I have a foot
I
fetish.
say it like that because it feels hacky to say.
Yeah.
Like it's so observed, you know?
Yeah, that seems to be the major.
No, I didn't. I guess I never.
To the point that it
noticed
distracts people from the movie. They're like, oh, there sure are a number of shots of bare feet in this movie. So there are bare feet in all of his movies.
Not Reservoir Dogs.
That's true. Because
a bunch of dudes.
Just a bunch of dudes.
A bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Orange.
Yeah.
He was in that.
Yeah, he was.
Mr. Pink.
Yeah.
You mentioned.
Mr. White.
Mr. Cornflower.
Huh?
Yeah, I would.
Guys, name all the Reservoir Dogs.
I would say. I would say that as cinema goes, I would say Pulp Fiction at this point right now. I'm trying to remove my biases again and look at it objectively. And I think that Pulp Fiction is the winner. That's just me. What do you guys think?
When she writes, "You're so cool" on that piece of paper in True Romance, I think.
Tell me more about mint chocolate chip ice cream.
That is it's the best expression of love in movies, maybe. Like it's up there.
Yeah.
It's such
True Romance is inarguably awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not
more
on the
fun to
list.
watch than any of these.
Okay.
Right? Val Kilmer.
Yeah,
Plays
he's great.
Elvis.
Yeah.
Your grandpa.
My grandpa.
Elvis.
My grandpa Elvis. Played by Nick Rivers.
Full circle.
Yeah. I like that you call him Nick Rivers.
Yeah. Nick Rivers, American singer.
I know a little German.
He's standing over there. All right, guys, we got to do this. We're almost at 2 hours. This is hands down our longest episode.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of edits.
There's a lot of edits. It probably is not as long as you are experiencing, listener. I think it's fair to say, while everybody's going to have their favorite, and while they all have pluses and minuses, that if you were to say what makes a film the best film in a director's canon is that it's the most influential. And not because it's riddled with mistakes that people learn from, but because it sort of changed and opened up some narrative rules. Even if it was borrowing from a lot of other genres to do so, then I think that Pulp Fiction makes sense.
Yeah,
Best Tarantino
but let's go with
movie.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Don't let him do that, Hal. Don't let him do that.
I don't know. He's so
It's
convincing.
my favorite.
It's your favorite?
Sure.
You don't
Oh
like
my
it that
God.
much.
I do, though.
Oh, you do? No, you
Will
don't.
you stop?
I'm an
You have to
unreliable
pick a
narrator.
thing. Oh God.
So
now that I've said, look, we're going long. We have to decide.
Yeah.
It's like your one goal
All right,
is to
let's-
not decide.
Yeah.
Let's hang up.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got one
You
more
hang
thing.
up first.
Oh my God.
No,
You
I'm
hang
gonna. My vote is for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Your vote is Pulp Fiction.
Look, I said it's hard for me to decide between the two. If
Well,
it
then
is,
I'm going to go for Pulp Fiction and make you decide. Because I do think.
why?
Because I think Pulp Fiction is a.
It's more influential, but
It's
what would you
it's
rather
influential.
watch? That's the answer. Which would you rather watch? That's why I say True Romance.
I'd rather.
mint chocolate chip.
Right now, I'd rather watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's what I'm saying. Is like if I was going to rewatch
Yeah,
one.
I mean, I would-
I've seen the other two enough times.
I've
I
seen
never
Pulp
need
Fiction
to
a
watch
lot.
them again.
That's true.
Right? Like, it was good. It was good. What
I've
is
also
good?
seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood several times now.
Well, then maybe you don't like any of them.
Do I not like any of them?
Is that our twist ending?
Is this a Shyamalan episode after all?
Yeah.
The twist is
it's been all Shyamalan. I'm fully comfortable with either Pulp Fiction or
I think we all are.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Do you do ties?
No, we don't do ties.
So let's do a draw.
Look. Oh my God, I'm going to throw this mic at you and it's going to hit you right in the stubble and you're going to love it.
It's going to stick right there.
Hold on, I'm getting a text.
Oh my God.
Is it from Quentin Tarantino?
The Venture Brothers panel is long over, by the way.
Oh, good. We missed out.
Is that true?
No.
Are you really leaving it up to me?
Yeah, what do you think? Oh, I'm curious.
That's what's
I know
hard
you
is
can go either way, but if you have
I could go either way. I think that Pulp Fiction is a more important movie in the history of film.
Is it? Like what?
I think that
what
Once
did
Upon a Time in Hollywood is a better film.
What that Pulp Fiction influence? What that people copying Tarantino is memorable?
I think there's more nonlinear storytelling.
That would be that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Like in what?
Inception.
Memento. Inception.
Inception.
I think those ones are those guys that would have been doing it. Like maybe they made it more marketable.
Somebody's car just drove by.
Everybody hear that? By the way,
that is
you know
a
what
beautiful car.
You know what that car looks like it's from?
What?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
The winner.
People of the world.
Spice up your
random
lives.
person. I hope you can hear it. Does this window open?
Yes.
I want a soundtrack for this. Listen to that. Oh, gonna have to bleep that entire song.
That is a big.
Anyway.
That's a big red 1965 Cadillac right there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think that might be it.
I think it is.
If you're doing most influential, I think it would be Pulp Fiction.
But
if you
I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is
Yeah, it's the movie that showcases his growth as both as a screenwriter in terms of creating a plot that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been great at dialogue, but even True Romance is so crazy over the place. Like it's so crazy all over the place. Just in terms of how insane, like I couldn't even track. By the time they get to the shootout in the hotel room, I am generally lost.
No, you're not.
I'm not that dumb.
No, you're not lost. You know who the parties are and why they're there.
Oh,
and then they bring them all together.
Do not let him do this. We have already decided.
No,
we have already decided.
I like that you have a folder on your iPhone called Twitters, and it's just all social media, including email.
All of your social media is in a folder called
Even
Twitters.
his phone, it's all, always writing that Ben. He's always creating comedy.
That's right.
Well, in case someone sees my phone.
Sure. They'll never think to look in there for email. Good job, buddy. You kept it safe.
Oh God, the dog's gonna come.
Yeah, oh God. Anyway, yeah, he's shown the most growth as both a filmmaker and a storyteller. And,
that's why I voted for him.
Writer.
That's why I got my vote.
It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Ben was right.
Asked and answered.
Thank you, Kyle McCowan.
Asked and answered.
Thank you, Kyle. And thank you, Ben, for being here.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
What do you want to plug? Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I got a webcomic called KidMidnightComic.com.
Yes.
It is about superheroes and feelings. It is the autobiographical webcomic of a teen sidekick. It is a thing that I do that I love that I wish more people knew about it, but they don't.
Well,
now
a few more will
they
now.
Do.
They sure will.
And also coming soon to your Audible is a thing called Cut and Run, which is a rom-com about kidney thieves. And it is a giant 3-hour Audible original. And it stars Sam Richardson and Rachel Bloom and, who else? Darcy Carden and Tom Lennon. And it is just a real fun
and narrated by.
It is narrated. Oh, it also stars Ed Begley Jr. as the crime boss of Dearborn, Michigan, and it is narrated by Meg Ryan.
When is that available for release? Do you have a date?
If you it's in early February. I will send you the exact day, and you will know about it. And that has been announced. Yeah, it has been announced, and yeah, it's really a lot of fun. It's a crime comedy caper.
Yes.
Thing. So have a subscription to Audible. And then you get it. That's how it works. Like you have to have an Audible thing and
But well worth it. Like what a great group, and it's Ben and Ben's writing, and anybody who listens to our show is also, if not if not at least aware and enjoying the Thrilling Adventure Hour, a huge fan of the Thrilling Adventure Hour. So you get to hear them working with a whole new toy box of actors.
And genre.
And this is born out of your original...
This is born out of the original sketch that
I was in.
You were in.
I was the kidney thief. I was the original kidney thief. And then that was turned into...
What was that? Was that
I was
from...
filling in for Mark.
That was in America too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
God bless America.
One of the early Second City sketches that I wrote got turned into a pilot that floated around and then got in front of the Audible guys. And
it was originally...
Which is always, it's just really fun.
It was me and Annie originally. And then in the film version, it was Paul and Paget.
And Ethan Embry in a bathtub.
Ethan Embry.
Right.
Which was Fred in the original sketch show. And now it's become this I love that it's such a fun premise.
And the premise is not the premise. It was a sketch about a guy who
that sketch is brilliant.
Yeah, it's a silly sketch that you could find if you YouTube Google kidney thieves and Paul F. Tompkins, and you can see Paul and Paget and Ethan Embry in the genesis of this thing. But it was born out of the fun relationship, the work spouses that are the doctor and the con artist who steal a kidney. And then this piece is about how that profession affects the romantic relationships of each of them.
Yeah. I love
Kidney thievery is Ben Acker's Quentin Tarantino's feat.
Yes.
It's just something he keeps going back to.
I mean, look, if you're going to accuse me of keeping going back to a thing, we did the Thrilling Adventure Hour again last night.
That's right.
Yes, we did. And it was a blast.
Year what?
Year 15.
15. So.
High five, fellas.
How's that? Well,
for a show that ended 5 years ago, it continues, including new studio recordings of the podcast, both classic episodes and new episodes, available twice a month. So you can also listen to that. But check out this series, Cut and Run, on Audible. All those great cast members, Acker and Blacker, at work. Directed by the great Alex Barretto.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
She's awesome.
Who is wonderful, who has directed, I think, both of us before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
check it out.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Man.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
This topic is closed. There are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets. Check out the Maximum Fun subreddit, or
you can email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com, or go to the Facebook group. Talk about the Quentin Tarantino films you love. Let's celebrate what you love rather than talking about why you're upset the thing you like did not get picked as the best. Because we're all people here. Facebook.com/groups/We Got This Podcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, our listeners, for giving us yet another opportunity to sit down with one of our dearest friends and talk about things that we love. Thank you. Thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And
for me, I'm me.
And for
Send butts and hair to Mark Gagliardi.
No butts and hair. And don't worry.
Don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.